Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It's Crystal here. In this particular video, I'm going to be breaking this data set down into two different videos. And the first video I'm going to do is going to do an exploratory data analysis, and I'm going to be doing an exploratory data analysis on Kaggle's depression data set, which is season 4, episode 11 of their playground series. So I'm just going to do an exploratory data analysis in this video, and then the next video, what I will do is I will do the whole video, which will be the predictions. So in order to do the exploratory data analysis, we need to use the training set of the depression competition, and then we need to read the CSV file into train, and then when we read the CSV file into train, we need to filter out all of the depressed people, because the non-depressed people are 0 and the depressed people are 1. And so we filter it out. We say depressed equals train, brackets train, depression equals 1. And then so what you come up with is you come up with a data set of just people who are depressed, which is what you want. And when you have a data set of just people who are depressed, you have 25,567 rows by 18 columns. So we're going to ask the question, does age, I could have asked the question, does the town affect depression? And that could have given you some insight into, how many people are in a particular town that are depressed. But I just decided against that. But if you do the towns, well, you certainly can do that. But there's a lot of towns. I think there's like 95 towns, maybe even more. So now what we're going to do is the first question we're going to ask is, does the age affect depression? So depressed age equals depression age dot value counts. And so we do the value counts of all the depressed people. And it ranges from 18 to 58. And I think that this data set is for Indian people, because it says it's in Mumbai, which is a town in India. So in India, if you're over 50, you're considered old. And I was speaking to an Indian lady because I work with her, and she said that if you're over, that in India you have to get your own insurance. But if you're over 50, you don't get the insurance, something like that. So if you're 50, you're considered really old and you can't get insurance. But we did a scatter plot using Matplotlib, and this is what we found. We found that younger people tend to be more depressed than older people, and as the age increases, the depression decreases, and that's what we found out. But in India, I think your median age is going to be lower than your median age in the UK. And from my personal perspective, when I was younger, I had hope, because just telling you something personal about me, I'd always wanted to get married and have a family, and that didn't happen. And so when I was younger and I was still childbearing age, there was always hope that I would meet somebody and be able to get married and have a family. But that never happened. And so now that I am beyond the childbearing age, I remember when I turned 60, I never felt so old in my life. But when you're no longer childbearing age, me personally, that gives me a lot of sadness because I personally didn't get to do what I wanted to do in this life. Um, but so when I was younger, I always had hope. But now the hope just isn't there. It's just not possible. But people in India, their lifestyle is different from the Western lifestyle. Their median age is lower than the English median age, and so they have different concerns. And also in India, they're more likely to be in an arranged marriage. So the assumption is that they're going to be in an arranged marriage, to get married, to have kids, and their problems are solved for them. And then they also have very reliant on their family. The family is a lot more important in India with regard as a social construct than it is in the UK. So whereas the UK, the family isn't the main social construct. So my personal situation is, I'm all on my own. I have to look after myself, and so that's quite stressful. So since India is different from the UK in their social system, their marriage, their relationships, their romances, um, and I think that their results are going to be different as well. So it would be interesting for me to get a data set on UK depressed people and to compare UK depressed people against Indian depressed people and see what the differences are. But all I can do is just tell you. So I just think this exploratory data analysis is going to be just for people in India because it's a different country, it's going to have a different culture, and the results are going to be different as well. So I think that the results in the UK are going to be different from the results in India. So, which gender is more likely to be depressed? So, we did value counts on that, and we found out that there's more depressed men than women. And we plotted that on a graph using Matplotlib. And you can see that you have more depressed men than women. So, in India, men are more likely to be depressed than women. And then the next question is, are working people or students more likely to be depressed? And it says in India, students are more likely to be depressed than working people, and there's a significant difference. You can see that students are a lot more depressed than working people. So that was interesting. And then the next question is, which profession is more likely to be depressed? And so I did value counts on that, and I only ran up like the top 15 professions because there were a lot of professions. But I thought, well, I don't want to run up every profession because my bar chart is going to be really big. But I could have, because it's a horizontal bar chart, I could have run up every profession if I wanted to, and it would be okay because it's a bar chart. But we found out teachers have the highest rate of depression, and beyond that, it's content writer. I don't know why a content writer would be depressed. I don't know if it's because they work alone, they work in a solitary environment. And then you've got architect, consultant, HR manager, pharmacist, doctor, business analyst, entrepreneur, chemist, chef, educational consultant, data scientist, and researcher. So those are like the 15 top professions that are going to be depressed. I notice data scientist is in there, business analyst is in there. So those are high pressure jobs. So the next question is, have depressed people had suicidal thoughts? So you have a really big imbalance. You have lots of people who are depressed, who have suicidal thoughts, and not very many people who are not depressed have suicidal thoughts. So that's interesting, you know. So that's something that you need to be aware of, that people who are depressed are also quite likely to have suicidal thoughts. And then only a small amount of people who are depressed don't have suicidal thoughts. The next question is there a family history of mental illness? And you have slightly more people who are depressed have a family history of mental illness than not. So that's interesting. So a lot of people who are depressed don't have a family history of mental illness, but slightly more have a history of mental illness. The next question is, how much does job satisfaction affect depression? So we did value counts again. And we ran up a chart in Matplotlib. And yeah, if you're not satisfied with your job, then you're going to be more likely to have depression. So the higher the job satisfaction, the less likely it is that you're going to be depressed. So that's another thing. And this is a problem in the UK, because in the UK, what they want to do is they want to make sick people go to work. And some of the people who are sick are people with mental illness, and they want to make people who are mentally ill go to work. Well, if you're not satisfied with your job, then that's going to contribute to you having a depression or another mental illness for that matter. So, does hours of work or study affect depression? So we did another value counts on that and another bar chart. And again, you have a very strong correlation at the more hours that a person works, the more depressed they're going to be. And I think it's because they don't get enough rest. If a person doesn't get enough rest or doesn't get enough free time, then that's going to affect their depression as well. So the point is that you need to have a good work-life balance. The next question is, how does financial stress contribute to mental illness? So again, if a person has a lot of financial stress, then it's going to be a higher propensity of depression. And so you can see the higher the financial stress, the more likely it is that they're going to be depressed. And so that's it. That's it for the exploratory data analysis of the training data set. And I think I asked a lot of questions that related to the data set. And so I just filtered out the depressed people. I mean, if I had wanted to do, I could say non-depressed, and I could ask the same questions of non-depressed people and see what the result would be. But you can see that if a person has a lot of stress, then their depression is going to be exacerbated. If they have to work a lot of hours, if they're not satisfied in their job, then their propensity to be depressed is going to be higher. So I think it was a very interesting exploratory data analysis, and I think it only relates to people in India, especially with the social construct. But maybe if I get a data set for depressed people in the UK, I can do an exploratory data analysis on depressed people in the UK, and then we can compare the UK to India and see which areas are going to be different. So I think that concludes this video because I've covered the exploratory data analysis of the training set of Kaggle's depression data set for depressed people. And if you like my video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I will be making another video for you about this particular data set, making predictions very soon.